Carl Jung uncovered something chilling about narcissists, something most people never expect until it's too late. When they finally understand that they can no longer control you, they don't just disappear quietly. No, they unleash one last ruthless tactic. One final emotional ambush that can unravel years of healing in mere days. And if you're not aware of it, you'll walk straight into their trap. But before we dive into this last move, we need to trace the path that leads up to it. The subtle psychological warfare that prepares the ground for their final play. The narcissist's deepest fear, your inner power. Carl Jung believed that what truly terrifies a narcissist isn't being left behind or unloved. What they fear most is the moment their target, the person they once controlled, becomes emotionally and mentally stronger than them. In Jung's work on the shadow self, he explained that narcissists survive by projecting their own inner fragility onto others. It's how they keep up the illusion of dominance. But something profound happens when you begin healing. When you stop playing along with their games and start drawing clear boundaries, their illusion begins to collapse. Jung described this as a psychological reversal, a shift in power that they experience as a crisis, and the way they respond to this shift may shock you. It was never about love, it was always about power. To the narcissist, love isn't the goal, control is. Jung found that narcissists operate from what he described as an inflated ego, constantly striving to maintain superiority in order to avoid facing their own emptiness. When you were unsure of yourself, constantly seeking their approval, they were thriving. You were their emotional fuel, their source of validation. But the moment you start trusting yourself, the moment you no longer need their praise or permission, you become a danger to the identity they've crafted. Your self-assurance shatters the fantasy they've built about being the one in charge. Projection as a psychological weapon. That's when they reach for their deadliest psychological tool. Jung warned about this tactic, something he called psychological projection warfare. When a narcissist senses they're losing their grip on you, they escalate. No longer content with gaslighting or guilt-tripping, they launch a calculated psychological attack meant to undo your progress. And it begins with a subtle but powerful twist. They don't target your flaws anymore. Now, they come after your growth, twisting your healing into a weapon. Instead of calling you too sensitive or too needy, they flip the narrative. You've changed, they'll say, and not for the better. You used to be warm. Now you're just cold and self-centered. All that success has made you arrogant. What Jung uncovered was this. They aren't just randomly lashing out. They're aiming with precision at the very parts of you that you fought hardest to reclaim. He called it strength shaming, and it's meant to make you doubt the progress you've made. The most painful attack. Shaming your strength, Jung realized that narcissists will deliberately shame the qualities that reflect your transformation. If you've found the courage to set limits, they'll accuse you of being unkind. If you've developed confidence, they'll call you full of yourself. If you finally speak your truth, they'll label you combative. They want you to feel guilt for the freedom you've earned, because your strength is the one thing they cannot control. And that makes it the first thing they'll try to dismantle. Pulling you back, the power of nostalgic manipulation. But when that tactic fails, they escalate again. Carl Jung referred to this next move as nostalgic manipulation. It's when the narcissist reaches into the past and tries to resurrect a version of you that was easier to control. Remember when we used to laugh together? You were so much more fun before all this self-help stuff. I miss the old you." But they're not longing for who you truly were. They're mourning the version of you that didn't know how to say no. And the more you've grown, the more tempting it becomes to revisit those old patterns, especially when they wrap it in memories and sentiment. The final move. Faking fragility. Now we reach the most dangerous trick in the narcissist's arsenal, one that Jung found deeply unsettling: manufactured vulnerability. When shaming and nostalgia don't work, the narcissist will suddenly appear broken, fragile, lost. They'll be dealing with a sudden crisis. Maybe it's a health emergency, a financial breakdown, or family turmoil. And somehow, it will land right as you're hitting a peak in your healing journey. But Jung was clear. This is no coincidence. It's timing, intentional and targeted. Narcissists know exactly what stirs your compassion. They've studied what triggers your empathy. And they will use it all, every bit of it, to get back in. They create the problem, so you'll save them. What's even more disturbing, according to Jung, is that narcissists will often cause the very problems they need rescuing from. They'll destroy their own stability just to manufacture a scenario where you feel compelled to rescue them. Why? Because it drags you back into the role they need you in: the caretaker, the fixer, the person who sacrifices their own well-being to support them. And in doing so, they prove to themselves that they still matter more than your boundaries. But Jung discovered something even darker. They want more than your help. They want your growth. They want you to abandon the progress you've made, just to show that you still belong to them. The hidden agenda behind just this once. They'll push you with statements like, "I know you don't usually do this, but can't you make an exception?" Or, "I know you're focusing on yourself, but I really need you right now." Every "just this once" is a test. It's not about the favor, it's about control. Jung said these moments are designed to wear down the new self you've been building. They don't want support. They want proof that their influence still outranks your healing. It feels real. But that's the trap. What makes this so dangerous is how real it all feels. The crisis may be genuine, or it may be exaggerated. But Jung discovered that narcissists are skilled at deciding exactly what pain to reveal and when. They have other people they could turn to, other options, but they choose you, because they know you're the one most likely to abandon yourself to save them. How to protect your progress. Differentiated compassion. So how do you defend yourself against such a deeply manipulative tactic? Jung offered a powerful answer: differentiated compassion. The ability to care without losing yourself. To feel someone's pain without making it your responsibility to fix it. He famously said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And when a narcissist shows up in crisis, you must ask, does helping them bring me closer to who I'm meant to be? Or is it pulling me back into who I've already outgrown? Why narcissists fear the real you. Jung's final revelation changes everything. Narcissists don't fear your anger, your silence, or even your absence. They fear your authenticity. Because when you become fully yourself, unfiltered, unafraid, and unshakable, you reflect back to them the growth they've refused to pursue. When you stand tall in your truth, you become a mirror of everything they've chosen to avoid. And that is what makes you so threatening to them. Every boundary is proof of your power. Carl Jung reminds us of a powerful truth. Each time you recognize their manipulation, and choose your own truth instead, you're not just surviving, you're rising. You're becoming everything they said you couldn't be without them. Their need to pull you back is proof that they've already lost control. Their final trick can only work if you forget your worth. But when you see through it, when you stand firm, you reclaim your freedom. And in that moment, you begin to truly live. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. If this message resonated with you, consider subscribing and sharing it with someone who may need this today. You never know whose healing you might help spark.